call the subcommittee hearing to order. Mr. Blumenthal, I'm sure, will be here shortly. We just had a vote, which is why I'm slightly late, but embarrassingly late enough that the chairman of the full committee beat me here. I would not want to detain him any longer than necessary, so I'm going to give my opening statement. We'll see if Senator Blumenthal arrives, and we'll go from there. Welcome to today's hearing titled Small Business Perspectives on a Federal Privacy Framework. More and more questions and concerns have arisen from allegations of, quote, unfair and deceptive practices conducted by a variety of companies related to their handling of consumer personal information. As the subcommittee with oversight jurisdiction for consumer protection, we have sought specific answers to these questionable practices on many occasions in the form of public letters, stakeholder briefings, and hearings stretching back to the prior Congress and before. This subcommittee in particular has held hearings to evaluate troublesome industry practices such as the Cambridge Analytica scandal and other reports regarding the lack of privacy and security protections surrounding consumer data. Additionally, the subcommittee has sought direct input from the jurisdictional enforcement agency, the Federal Trade Commission, which we have jurisdiction over, and it is charged with enforcing the, quote, unfair or deceptive practices in or affecting commerce, inclusive of consumer data privacy under Section 5A of the FTC Act. Last November, we heard from all 5 FTC commissioners on specific legislative actions Congress should take to better protect consumers from harmful business practices of bad actors, and with over 100 data security and privacy cases brought before them in the past 20 years, their feedback was greatly appreciated. All of this proactive information gathering from industry, consumer advocacy groups, academics, and agency officials is intended to inform our legislative efforts to bolster consumer protections. Additionally, given the implementation of the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, in Europe and the passage of the California Consumer Privacy Act and the likelihood of other states enacting their own consumer privacy laws, it is clear that the U.S. needs a federal consumer data privacy law that provides clarity in an increasingly complex regulatory environment. To that end, I've been working with the ranking member, Senator Blumenthal, along with other bipartisan members of our committee, including the full committee chairman, Chairman Wicker, and Senator Schatz. I've been attempting to identify responsible federal privacy standards that provide clear and effective protection to consumers, while also aiming to provide some regulatory certainty to businesses in the interest of creating jobs, promoting innovation and competition in a global economy. The focus of today's hearing is to emphasize the specific concerns of small and new businesses and how they utilize protect consumer information within their operations. These businesses have fewer resources in handling the complexities of increased regulatory privacy, compliance, and associated costs. However, it is also critical to highlight that not all small businesses are the same, and consumer data offers different uses, challenges, and in some cases, liabilities across the various models of small businesses and startups. I look forward to hearing from the witness panel about what they think should be included in federal privacy legislation and how new FTC enforcement authorities should account for the size and scope of a business processing consumer data, while also factoring in the sensitivity of that information and consumer harms associated with their practices. Additionally, I'd be interested in hearing from the panel on how GDPR and the California Consumer Privacy Act specifically impact their operations or the operations of their member companies. Joining us today is Ryan Weber, who serves as the president of the KC Tech Council. The council serves as a regional advocate for Kansas City's tech industry, and while its members are comprised of companies in various sizes and models, Mr. Weber will provide valuable perspective on behalf of the council's small businesses in both Kansas and Missouri. Second, Mr. Evan Engstrom, the executive director of Engine, will provide testimony on behalf of their association's startup members. Engine's membership covers a diverse group of sectors and models, and I look forward to hearing how privacy regulations could disproportionately affect startups, which are oftentimes best positioned to innovate and drive competition. Mr. Jeff England from Silver Star Communications is our third witness. He is based in Wyoming and will provide testimony from the perspective of a rural telephone and internet service provider. Providing high-speed broadband to rural communities is a costly process, as many members on this subcommittee are well aware, and Congress must effectively account for expected compliance costs on small carriers associated with any federal privacy bill if it is to be enacted. Ms. Nina Do-Jean is a realtor working with the Nolan Group at Vanguard Properties in San Francisco, and she will provide insight to the unique needs and challenges facing small businesses in real estate as it pertains to our privacy discussion. Her role as the Technology Policy Committee Vice Chair for the National Association of Realtors make her exceptionally qualified. Finally, Mr. Justin Brookman is the Director of Consumer Privacy and Technology Policy for Consumer Reports. As a former policy director of the FTC, Mr. Brookman will provide helpful insight to identify regulatory gaps in consumer privacy protection. The distinctly unique perspectives of our witnesses today should provide valuable insight to our subcommittee's efforts in identifying an appropriate federal privacy framework. With that, I turn to the ranking member so that he can make his opening statement. Senator Blumenthal, thank you.